Mining is a Quebec-based mineral exploration and development company focused on the advancement of its large, high-grade, 100% owned Crater Lake Scandium project. There's been a substantial increase in the demand for and investor interest in rare earths and strategic minerals, including scandium. With a growing support from governments around the world, especially in the US and Canada, and more funds poured into the critical medical space, we are expecting 2021 to be an exciting year for the sector and certainly for Imperial Mining. Today, we are joined with Imperial founder, president, and CEO Peter Cashin, a geologist with almost 40 years of industry experience, who discovered a world-class strange lake rare earth deposit and subsequently received the prestigious 2010 Quebec Prospector of the Year award. Peter, let's start with a more general question on the industry itself. Scandium is the new metal on the block. What do you think contributed to the sudden rise of scandium's popularity, demonstrated by analysts and newsletter writers and the like?
Thanks, Kathy. And in actual fact, scandium is not that new. It's been known since the 1970s as an important additive and strengthener of aluminum alloys. It's just that what's coming online now, finally, there's been a lack of supply, a sustainable supply that consumers can rely on to ensure that they would be able to get this product for a long period of time. So what's new is a lot of new production capacity, particularly with the announcement recently and the government support announcement of Rio Tinto recovering scandium from titanium waste streams in Quebec. And then because they have their Alcan aluminum division, they're also going to be able to make scandium aluminum alloys. So I think that has a lot to do with that, and I think that I think COVID is underlined the need to diversify our supply chains. It was PPE as a result of COVID, and I think there's becoming by governments a general recognition that they have to diversify their supply chain. They have to make them more domestic or more continent-based, and I think that's all those factors have really been moving scandium into a new light.
Thank you, Peter. And can you tell me why Imperial would be of interest to investors right now?
Well, we've been working towards a bedrock-based high-grade scandium resource. It's in Quebec, and of course, Canada's aluminum capital is in Quebec because of the low energy rates. So there's just natural synergies of the product that we can bring to market and the need by the aluminums industry for next generation lightweight, high strength lightweight alloy materials for the automotive industry, for aerospace input, for even solid oxide fuel cells, and it even has defense applications as well.
Okay. Going back to what you mentioned earlier about Rio Tinto using their byproduct to make scandium, and you will probably be the first true scandium mining company producing in Quebec and in the Western Hemisphere, really. So what is the difference between the Rio Tinto processing and delivery of the metal and yours?
I think the difference is going to be ultimately I've already inquired with them on this exact matter, and what drives their ultimate delivery of scandium is what their titanium production levels will be at Lacteo, which is their big open pit ilmenite deposit where they get their titanium for things like pigments, white pigments, and paints. That really is the driver. Scandium ultimately is a byproduct of that production. And obviously they're sensitive to the size and their impact on the titanium market. And that's really will be the restricting factor for how much scandium they're going to be able to deliver ultimately from that project. And we've estimated that on average, they're going to be delivering about 50 tons of scandium oxide per year. Whereas we have an open pit primary scandium resource. The financial model that we're going to be developing as a result of this coming, the 2021's work, is going to be based on the contribution of scandium to our financial model. And so really, we're not limited by the production levels of titanium out of their operation. Our operation is solely based on scandium with, of course, byproducts. So we have the ability to scale up as the market consumption dynamic for this particular material grows. And I think it's already starting to show.
That's great, Peter. Peter, are we to see any support from the Canadian government for your project?
Well, right now, I think there's a general recognition, particularly as the United States and Europe, the EU, for next generation lightweight alloys in manufacturing. Obviously, they look at it as an opportunity, as multiple factors, but the big driver really is reducing carbon footprint of things like automobiles, airplanes, even down to lightweighting of defense platforms, because in lightening up those defense platforms, they make them more fuel efficient. They're able to get more mileage out of the fuel that they have. It maintains all of the personal protection that steel plate, armor plate provides in those platforms. And I think those are all drivers. And then the next thing is it's an important contributor to solid oxide fuel cells. Bloom Energy out of California has a patent on putting scandium into the manufacture of those fuel cells. And what it does is it lowers the internal operating temperature of the fuel cell and extends the fuel cell life. So you can see that it all has green energy applications or reduction of footprint applications. And I think that's really what's important about scandium.
That's fantastic. Peter, do you see any interest coming from U.S. investors at this time? And if so, what are you going to do about it? Do you think you'll list on the OTCQB?
Well, thanks for that question, Kathy. I mean, since the closing of our financing, our private placement in December, soon into the new year, I mean, we tripled our share price relative to where we were hanging around before, I would say in November. And a lot of that buying, surprisingly enough, came as a result of an interview by Gianni Kovacevic, who's viewed as a bit of a futurist. And really his interest is those metals that will contribute and support the electrification of the automotive space or the transportation industry in general. And from that, somebody went and listed us on the OTC pink sheets. I mean, that's not a legal platform, but at least it's allowed U.S. investors to start, retail investors to start investing in and picking up shares in Imperial. And we saw some great liquidity in that first week back after the new year. A lot of it actually was out of the United States. So it tells, and I when I ran Quest, of course, we had an Amex listing, and one has to recognize that they 10 times the population in the States, but they have 30 times to 50 times the investor base that we have in Canada. So there's lots of liquidity potential by considering a listing in the United States. And as a matter of fact, we are in the process of getting an OTCQB listing so that not only will retail investors be able to buy our stock, but fund managers will be able to start recommending the purchase of Imperial stock to their clients.
Okay. My final question relates to your project itself. Can you tell us where you stand now with it and what some of the short-term plans are?
We're going to have a very busy 2021. Obviously, the financing now will allow us to do the definition drilling. We've done all the preliminary work. We've identified 3 bedrock deposits of scandium mineralization. We've identified 3 others, but we've now, the objective this past summer really was to focus in on that, which of the resource areas will provide us with the largest, highest grade opportunity for scandium on the project. We're now ready at this point in time. So early in the new year, we're talking end of February here, beginning of March, trying to avoid the deep of winter up there because it gets quite cold, to do the definition drilling. And that will be able to supply an engineering group to undertake a resource estimate. So 43-101 resource. We're also concurrently we're doing the metallurgy. So we're developing a process flow sheet to recover the scandium from the rock. That should be completed sometimes in February or March. And then we've been doing strategic marketing. I mean, we fully understand the potential breadth of the consumption demand of scandium in things like the automotive industry, especially EVs. Lightweighting in EVs is almost as important as developing better battery chemistry to extend range of EVs. We know that the aerospace industry, particularly Airbus, is already using scandium aluminum as a lightweighting product to make their planes more fuel efficient. There's a lot of interest by the governments of offshore wind, the lightning of offshore wind platforms and defense and the whole bit. So all of those factors are required for a PEA, and I think the next steps will be, probably March, April to complete all the diamond drilling, resource estimate at a 43-101 level will be probably ready in May. And then because we've got all the information we need for a PEA, we'll be able to deliver a preliminary economic assessment probably in July, August.
Well, that's exciting, Peter. There's going to be lots of news over the next 6 months. So we're looking forward to that and to your continued success. Thanks for answering my questions today.
Thanks, Kathy. Yeah. Have a good day.
You
Bye now.
too.